Hi and welcome back to my channel. On today's video I want to talk to you about a Chinese brand which is in my mind since last year, Paris Perfume Week, in collaboration with No Shanghai, because friends of me went there and were all of praise because of Damfool. And yeah, now finally on a Chinese retailer, it was possible for me to get a sample set, and I also blind bought 2 fragrances. So you need to make good decisions when you need to pay shipping. I hate to pay shipping. If you already know me, then you might be surprised that this video is in English. I rather tend to maybe switch this channel in general to English, but I don't know quite yet. This video will be in English though. And probably many other videos tend to be in English as well, because to be honest, I'm very niche. And the stuff I talk about, there are not that many German people that are into this kind of stuff. So maybe an international audience would do better. So if you're not already know who I am, hi, I'm Richie, or Richard. Right Sense is my name, and I'm doing social media around 3 years already. On YouTube, I'm over 1.5 years from now, and I tend to make German content. I'm not that much into big conglomerates, to say the least. I'm rather for the indies, the artisanal, the real niche, and not the overpriced dupe whatever. So if you're interested in this kind of content, maybe stick around, maybe leave a follow. There's a new feature, hyping videos. They get pushed out then more. I don't even know. Whatever. If you feel like writing me a comment, that would be gladly appreciated and probably will help the algorithm as well. So without further ado, let's dive into this very specific and very interesting niche house from China. I believe Chinese brands are taking over right now because they're very fairly priced, especially compared to these big houses here in Europe, where scents are just really expensive. And the Chinese guys, probably they are expensive as well, but from that perspective, when you're used to paying 200 to 400 euros per scent, then they are really good priced. So Damfool here, no other. Scents usually range about 130 to 150 USD in China. I purchased everything from Fortune Soul. So I purchased, this is not sponsored. I heard a little bird twitching that maybe Damfool will be available in Europe very soon. If they are already when this video gets aired, I will tag the shop down below. So before we dive deeper into the scents specifically, I want to tell you a little bit about the Damfool whole brand ethos and what the brand is trying to do with their scents. The perfumer and owner of the brand refers to himself as Big Buddha. He seems such like a lovely guy. I never met him before, but friends did, and they were all up in hype about him. So I kind of get that he's a nice guy. And he has a different approach to perfumery and into telling stories. This video will be very different to my usual videos where I only sniff the perfume. This time I will also read you the stories behind these fragrances, but after I describe them to you kind of firmly. The idea behind Damfool is showcasing the NPC, not the main character. It's about the stories that are being untold and in the shadows, and maybe even not in the spotlight at all. It feels like this is interactive game, or somehow you dive into a different world, the world of Damfool, and you can choose which person you want to spend time with, person, perfume, and to get a little bit of their story, their background. Everything is very centered around Chinese tradition, medicine, and ingredients. So therefore, I love it very much because it brings you just a different perspective onto perfumery and the art itself. Like you already know that I'm very loving Thai brands like Siam and Prin, and the person and all the artists that are bringing something new to the table, because we all cannot stand another Erba Pura. So therefore, this new perspective is highly appreciated. Damfool organizes his scents like seasons of a TV series. Season 1 describes growing up as a child in Guangdong. I hope I pronounce all these Chinese words and locations and stuff like that correctly, because, yeah, I hope nobody gets attacked when I butcher a name or a city or whatever. I'm really sorry. I tried my best, but yeah. So here we go. The first scent is Sleeve Cutter in this first season. After I told you how I feel about this fragrance, I will read you the story behind it. So maybe to get a fuller picture of that. But let's start with Sleeve Cutter. It starts very, very medicinal, green, sharp, minty eucalyptus, this kind of thing. Almost like steeped herbs or a healing tea or an ointment. It's very medicinal leaning. But there is an underlying sweetness there. You get there is a little bit of resinous, balsamic ingredients in here. And you get flowers. They are not overly opulent. They are quite tame, but they are surely there. The flowers are more on the brighter side. They are voluptuous, but not overpowering. The iris is kind of powdery and a little bit earthy, and it gets drier and more pronounced during the dry down. When it's dry down, this minty spark gets lost. Of course it does, but you still have, this is now a day old, you still have this little bit eucalyptic freshness about it. When I first smelled it, I don't know why, but I teared up. That was the biggest reaction to all of the perfumes in this line. Just tears. I felt my eyes watering. Absolutely beautiful. It kind of reminds me of these herbal hard candy that you get as a kid if you have a sore throat. Yeah, but it's really, really beautiful. The story behind Sleeve Cutter. Liang Gay was a limping pickpocket. Back in the old days, they'd called him Jian Lu, the kid who could lift your wallet without you feeling a thing. In Xiangbei village, everybody knew his name and his reputation. If someone from the village got into a scrap with an outsider, folks didn't go looking for fists or lawyers. They went straight to Lingye. And when he came back, half a pound of crispy, fatty bruised pork and half a box of cheap green labeled beer, always waiting for his rickety table. That's how you said, thanks, sorry, we see you all at once. He lived alone. No parents, no wife, no kids. Just him and that crooked old pine tree at the very edge of the village. He did old jobs now and then, hauling sacks, fixing fences, sweeping courtyards. Nobody minded. Why? Because Lingay had one iron rule. He never touched a villager's pocket. Not once. So folks slipped him rice, salt, firewood, sometimes even a warm coat in the winter. And Lingay, always smiling, always cracking jokes, always calling everyone brother or auntie, like he knew them since birth. How he got that limp? Rumors flew like sparrows. Some said he ran from the army and got his knee smashed. Others swore he got caught mid-heist and took a beating. Lingay just shrugged and said, rheumatism. Been hurting since 78. Truth was, you could smell him coming. Sharp, sour, medicinal, like cheap liniment mixed with old bandages and camphor ointment. You'd catch that scent near the stairwell, behind the old man's Zhao's shed, or weirdly right outside the woman's bathroom door. Nobody asked. Nobody needed to. Then came the mess with little Y, a village boy who fell hard for a girl from the next town over. Problem was, she'd already caught the eye of a rich young master whose family made perfume and incense. Wei got shoved into the river, soaked and humiliated, and worse, laughed at. So he showed up at Lingei's place with pork, beer, and a look that said, "Make it hurt." Lingei didn't hesitate. Ate the fattiest bite of the plate, licked his thumb, hopped out, still chewing into the dark. He got the jade pendant, got the embroidered sash too. But the master's nose, trained on sandalwood and musk since childhood, one whiff of Lingei's ointment, stink, and bam, caught before he'd even cleared the gate. Lingei died soon after. No trial, no funeral ball, just buried under the crocked pine. These days, when something burns in your chest, when life feels unfair or someone gets away with being cruel, you don't shout. You grab half a pound of pork, crack open a cold beer, and sit a while under this pine. You don't talk much, you just sit. And sometimes, if the wind's right, you swear you can catch that faint, familiar tang, lime, and sweat and stubbornness hanging in the air. The second scent of the first season, and that's the last scent of the first season, is Watting Warbler, and it's an absolutely fruit blast. It feels like strawberries, raspberries, and peaches are combined. It's very sweet. It almost feels like, kind of a child dish, a dessert. It feels like the laughter of childhood. It's kind of gourmand. It's a fruity gourmand. It's not overly sweet. It's not sticky. I can get behind this one. The floral aspects of this fragrance tend to come through a lot more in the dry down. Yeah, it's just very, very beautiful, besides that it's so extremely fruity, but really, really cool. When I read the copy, this one is inspired by the Guangdong sweet soup, which the perfumer Big Buddha loved as a child. And I see that many other children will love that too. In the dry down, it gets more woodier, more refined. The spark of the youthfulness vanishes a little bit. And I wrote down that it's almost like a sunlit, dark, yet sun-bleached wooden table where people sit and smoke and just live around and with it. The juicy fruitiness fades, and way more of a subtle sweetness with a bit of woods, earthy, almost tea-adjacent notes come through. Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. If you like a fruity scent with still a lot of woodiness that is variable all year round, Wetting Warbler might be it for you. There are, by the way, 15 fragrances, so just bear with me. This video is going to be a long-ass video. I will not cut it into pieces. Just bear with me. If you like this video, comment down below which fragrance sounds like you absolutely have to try it. Wetting Warbler. The woman of Shanghai village, all fair-skinned, all radiant, like moonlight caught in the river water. Folks say it's the stream, pure mountain spring, first to tumble down the slope, first to fill the village wells. Mountain water doesn't just quench thirst, old Granny Lin always says, it polishes skins. Yan Yang lived near where the stream spills into the village, right at the mouth. Every dawn, before the roosters even stretched, she'd been there with her wooden basin, rinsing her hair in a cold, clear flow. No soap, no shampoo, just water, and that thick, glossy black hair, like ink spilled on silk. Word got around fast that water grows hair. Soon the bank was lined with girls kneeling, dunking, laughing, water dripping off their chins. The men? They'd lean into the fence, sipping chorus tea and grin. We drink what the girls wash their hair in. No wonder our daughters glow like water lilies. Yang Ning left the village young, same as every other girl, when the peach blossom were thickest and the world felt wide open. But while the others took day jobs in factories or tea houses, Yang Ning, she worked after dark, always, quietly. Nobody asked why, and nobody even got an answer. She came back 3 times. First, when her mother stormed out, suitcase in hand, threatening to vanish forever, Yan Yang walked 20 miles home barefoot to bring her back. Second, when her father passed, she sat by his coffin for 3 nights straight. Burning incense, no speaking. Third time, a black sedan rolled in. Tinted windows, silent engine, no name announced. and no wave goodbye. Just young Nyang stepping out, head high, suitcase small. And after that, she never left again. 20 years later, she still comes to the stream each morning, but now she's bent, rinsed, and paused, hands on her lower back, breathing deep before straightening up and rubbing her back. You can hear her sigh sometimes, soft, steady, like the water's flow. Walk past her on the lane, men still murmur over their tea. Look at her, still so fair, still so there. No woman from Chiang Mai married out. It's just how it is. So the aunties, bless their busy mouth, keep nudging young Nyang. Find a good man, settle down, have kids. She just smiled, warm but unshaken, tapped her chest once and said, He's already here. Said he'd come back and marry me. Then came the cough. Dry, deep, rattling. Then blood on the handkerchief, then silence. Just 3 days from the first cough to her last breath. When the village office sent someone to collect her body, they found no photos, no letters, no name on the drawer, no kin listed anywhere. So they cremated her, quietly, respectful, placed her ashes in the plain ceramic jar, set it on the shelf of the central hall between All Man Wu and Third Auntie Lee. Then, out of nowhere, one misty morning, a man in crisp, faded olive uniform showed up. No ID shown. No question asked. He handed the clerk a cloth bundle, rough, folded tight, and said only, I'll take her. They buried her under a tall, straight pine, on the far side of the stream where the water curves and slows. Later, over sweetened tea in the village office, Auntie Mai, who saw everything, leaned in and whispered, before he buried her, he opened the jar, took a handful, scattered it on the stream, took another, rubbed it on the pine trunk like ointment, took the third, wrapped it up in the same cloth, tucked it inside his coat. She paused, stirred her tea slowly, and added, Tall man, very fair, like he've been carved from the same mountain stones and washed in the same water as her. They opened the cloth bundle later. Inside, a stack of US dollars, neat, crisp, untouched by time. We're going on to season 2, which is for him coming home to Fujian. I hope I pronounce it correctly. After he'd been gone for so long, he grew up there, his real hometown. He comes back after years of traveling around the world. And now it's still the same city, but so many things changed, but many things didn't change. So these are the fragrances representing these stories. Moo Cattle is the name of the first fragrance. It's very sweet, it's herbal, it has this slightly animalic muskiness to it. Sage is very prominent in this perfume, and it stays that way even in the dry down. A day later, you can still smell this slightly fruity, sagey, woodsy animalicness in it. There is thyme listed in the notes. Usually, I hate thyme in perfumery, but this here is just done the right way. Also, it's accompanied by some orange, and it works just perfectly fine. It almost has a little bit of a greasiness, a fattiness. Like it smells like you patted your pet and smell on your hands. It's a very subtle animalic aspect about it. It smells like fur a little bit, but it's truly amazing. It's so relaxing and comforting. Yeah, absolutely absolutely breathtakingly beautiful scent. During dry down, the scent gets more fuzzy, more fluffy, more fur-like. And yeah, I really enjoy it. This fur-like aspect is never too much, too sharp or overwhelming. It's very comforting. But it still has this slightly herbaceous edge, which is totally cool. Sadie's, my hometown, my real one. I hadn't been back over a decade. Got off that rickety black minibus from the country, 5 yuan, no receipt, driver didn't even look at me, and took 3 steps, and then, just like that, village entry. There it was, a yellow ox, tied on a bamboo post right by the gate. Big eyes, wet and watchful. Not chewing, not blinking much. Hard to guess its age. Could have been 10 or 30, looked ancient, but moved like it still remembered how to run. I reached out, it flinched. Tried again. Head jerked sideways. Third time. I held my palm steady, slow, low. It didn't bolt. It just stood there. Breath shallow, ears twitching. I lifted my hand, sniffed. Smelled like warm hide, dried sweat, and something faintly sour. Like the barn door left open after rain. Livestock. Yeah, that smell stuck to you. That night, family threw me a welcome home feast, Fujian style, which means lots of beer and some seafood and zero mercy for your uric acid. Shrimp, crab, a single prawn floated in my soup like a tiny pink apology. The rest, thick, glossy, braised beef, golden broth with a star anise, and rice so oily it clung up to my chopsticks. After dinner, I waddled out, fully greased, slightly dizzy, mouth slick, elbows shiny, shirt sticking to my back. Took a wrong turn down a narrow alley, half lit by a flickering bulb in someone's doorway, and there he was, the same ox. Led by a barefoot man in rubber sandals, walking slow, steady into the dark. No streetlights, no moon, just black air and that sound of the clop, 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 clop. Heavy, hollow, unhurried, like the earth itself's breathing through hoofs. Kuo, translated to the old house. This one is absolutely stunning. To me, this one smells in the opening like steeped tea leaves and spices, very old, maybe a little bit dusty wood. It's absolutely beautiful. It has a slightly savory note, which is there from the beginning and will be there the entire time. The violet is kind of growing during the dry down. It gets so much more violet pronounced and in this violet powdery way. But in the deeper dry down, this one settles in so much better. During dry down, the closer you're paying attention, the more clear and prominent this yellow creaminess of ylang gets to you, and it's very well balanced. I tend to have my problems with ylang because sometimes it's just too much, too creamy for me, but this one is truly amazing. And I keep coming back to this. In the note list, there's a soy sauce note, which you kind of get this fermented brewed soy sauce, but it's never intimidating or too much, or it just gives this little contrast in this just amazing blend. And yeah, it's just done perfectly beautiful. It feels like home, not my home, but someone I really like. It's very hard to describe. It feels so lived in. It feels like home. When have you ever been to a place that was not your home, but you instantly felt like you belong? Yeah, that's the smell. More than 20 years later, I pushed open the gate to my essential home and froze. It wasn't mine anymore. A family I'd never seen was living there, moving through rooms I knew by heart. The same creak in the third floor bed. The same slant of light through the east window, but now with laundry strung across the country yard. Wet shirts dripping cheap soap smell into the humid air. On the kitchen counter, a pile of rinsed pickled mustard greens, still glistening. On the altar, fresh candied kumquats and dry longans, neatly arranged. And besides them, 3 red plastic cups, half emptied from last night, the wine inside gone cloudy, edges slightly sticky. The wooden pillars, thick with decades of grime, incense, soothe, and layered over cooking grease, dark and glossy as old lacquer. I remember sitting right there on the threshold of the ancestral hall, sucking on a strawberry lollipop, watching elders burn joss sticks. But then I thought gods were just smoke and sugar. Later I learned better and stopped eating candy near the altar. The tenants, a couple from inland, sleeved rolled, hands calloused, came out wiping their hands on aprons. He bowed slightly, voiced hush. "You are from the demolition team?" I shook my head. "No, this is a guaco, a heritage house. Not for tearing down." He nodded slowly, like he heard that before, and didn't quite believe it. "Yeah, the house is still standing. Same beams, same roof tiles, same stubborn, crooked spine. But the soul, it's wearing someone else's clothes now." The next fragrance is Bioa Bioe, Ask of Ancestors. It's inspired by a Chinese ritual which happens, as I saw in the copy, twice a year. It's very floral, has also a little bit of a tea adjacentness to it. There are almost fatty aspects and many, many floral aspects with a little bit of these Chinese incense sticks. Absolutely beautiful. Hard, it's very pronounced on the woody aspects. The opening has this slightly medicinal touch, but not in a sharp way, just in a healing way somehow. But this medicinal impression fades over time. After reading the copy of what this should symbolize, you even get more of the different aspects and notes of this fragrance. And it feels even more transportative. It feels like you're standing there while some people are doing these rituals for fortune. You smell the hay in the back of the corner. You smell all the sacrifices on the table, and the incense is almost warming up. And the smoldering incense is almost, you feel the warmth in your body. Very comforting, very special. Maybe not for every day. The dry down also, this fragrance gets a little bit more bitter. All the sweetness from the beginning is faded. The vetiver is about to emerge, and yeah, it's just really, really subtle, great woody fragrance that is so transportative. Amazing. This is the Jiao, a ritual every Fujian kid grows up knowing, like tying shoelaces or dodging rain. It's two smooth, crescent-shaped wooden blocks carved from camphor wood. Some say, though most call them the cups. You cup them in both hands, close your eyes, whisper your wish straight to the gods, no filter, no polite small talk, and then toss them like dice. One flat side yin, one round side yang. If you get one of each, that's xiaoyang, holy throw. The gods nod. Yes, done. We do this twice a year. Qingming and winter solstice. Same altar, same setup, whole chicken, steamed fish, braised pork belly, sticky rice cakes, candied kumquats, 3 cups of tea, 3 cups of rice wine. And yes, even a bowl of noodles. Gods love longevity, apparently. And right in the center, those 2 little wooden cups, waiting. Light the incense, kneel, press your forehead to the cool floorboards. Let the smoke rise, slow, thick, fragrant, and carry your wish up, 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 up. Then you wait. Not too long, just enough for the smoke to curl, for your breath to settle. Then you throw. I brought thick gold paper and fat red incense sticks, offered them to the ancestors and household deities in a Guangma hole. Held the cups tight, whispered my heart out, then tossed. Clack! Both landed flat side up. Xiao Yao. A love throw. Translation: nah, try again. An old man with a cane and one leg shorter than the other shoved over, squinted all the cups, then nodded towards the gold paper stack. 2 more layers, he said, voice raspy but kind. Then it'll be Hao Shi. That's Minan for it'll get done. No magic, just momentum. So I added them, folded, stacked, lit the corners, and knelt again. Hands pressed together, breath held, tossed, clack, one flat, one round. Sheng Jiao. The gods didn't shout, didn't flash lightning, just nodded, quietly, like he'd been waiting all time. The last fragrance of this season is Ho, the Elden River. And it almost feels like you're laying in the grass and eating a tangerine. Your hands are dirty with the tangerine juice, and it's a little bit sticky. It feels like a warm summer day where you're laying on the ground in the grass and there's a stream running besides you. It's a little bit mossy, it's a little bit muddy, it's a little bit not fishy aquatic or salty aquatic, just this watery aspect about it. Very, very clear and amazingly done. Also, very, very much on a tea side in the beginning. There are also some blooming flowers in the background, but to be completely honest, looking at the note breakdown, I couldn't pinpoint anything written there. It's just a vibe, to be honest. It's very, very beautiful. It feels like the memory of someone else, and I'm very keen to experience this memory as well, and just going there and seeing how it really smells like. Yeah, it's just beautiful, to be honest. The more it dries down, the more sheerer it becomes. It feels a little bit like if it would be a picture, you just decrease the saturation. So it's not this sparkly, juicy tangerine anymore, or this really sappy green, but it's toned down and it's just beautiful and it stays so long. Amazing. There used to be a river behind the old house. Back then, everyone called it the river. Now, just a stream. A quite narrow thing, barely wider than a path. When I was a kid, we'd race down there barefoot after lunch. Water would rush up to my knees, cold enough to steal your breath, clear enough to see every pebble and wiggling tadpole. Smelled like wet mud and rotting waterweed, sharp, sour, alive. I loved it. Dived in, scooped up frogs, got scolded for coming home soaked and stinking. This time, I stood at the bank and looked down. Water lapped just over my shoe soles, barely a whisper against the rubber. Still crystal clear, still cold, but no tadpoles, no frogs. No smell at all, not even earthy, not even green, just clean silence. Yeah, that river didn't shrink, it aged, like a person who stops talking, stops moving fast, stops being loudly alive. And then you only noticed how much it's changed when you stand there, remembering the splash. This is gonna be a long ass video, for real. Now, season 3, there are going to be 3 scents in this season, and after that, it's more like memory stuff. If you like it so far, please hit up the like button and do all the usual stuff that helps me. If you're here by now, thank you for staying around this long. We start with Silent Tiger in season 3. The opening is a burst of fruity happiness, very aromatic, but it quickly fades into a more woody aromatic. It's green, woody, and somewhat earthy, but so well done, so easy to wear. It's not overpowering anything. It's very delicate. There's almost a little bit of a savory aspect to it, and I would say hidden medicinal feel. It feels like there are bandages beneath your clothes to heal something you don't want to showcase anyhow, that you have this injury. Absolutely beautiful. Great mixing of these different notes. There's a patchouli, but not this soaking wet basement. It's rather green and earthy without this musty smell. Yeah, just amazing. Also, looking at the notes, I don't get coffee at all, luckily, because I hate coffee and fragrances. The durian has none of the animalic, indolic facets here. It's just uplifting, fruity, and joyful. Yeah, just a beautiful fragrance. And when it dries down, it's way more woody aromatic and very, very easy to like and wear. Longchong wasn't stupid. He was just unspooled. Like a clock, all with his gears but no spring. Towered over everyone, broad-shouldered, thick-necked, hands like shovels. Could rip a pine post in half or pop open a rusted oil drum barehanded. But his eyes? Wide, slow, always a beat behind the world. A gentle giant, with the attention span of a startled sparrow. Siang's town didn't grow from soil, it rose from water. 3 rivers slammed together right there, and docks sprouted like mushrooms. Wooden piers, ropes guard, boats unload tea, salt, opera instruments, and gossip. 3 wide roads fanned out from the town square, north to the hills, south to the coast, west to the old prefecture. And every night, some troupe or another would set up the big stage. Fujian opera singers with painted faces, puppeteers with string-tangled fingers, acrobats who flipped off barrels, and always someone nudged Long Zhuang forward. Come on, General, show your waterfowl trick. Which honestly wasn't a trick at all, just him chewing. It started one lazy afternoon. Idlers were lounging near the wharf, watching Duangshong kick dust like it owned him money. Someone, a sailor from Singapore, tossed him a durian. King of fruits, he joked. Bet you can't crack it. Spiky green armor, heavy as a brick. Dongshong picked it up, turned it in his palms, then chop. Bit straight into shell. No knife, no hammer, just teeth, jaw, and zero hesitation. The crowd gasped, then laughed, then leaning in, grinning. What's the idiot going to do now? What he did? Crunched through rind, pulp and all, until the thing split clean open like a wet thwack. Inside, creamy yellow flesh, stinking like gym socks left in the hot sun. Feral, sweet, rotten, alive. People screamed, covered their mouth, backed away fast. One auntie fainted dramatically in her own fan, but Duangshong, he just scooped out a fistful of the pungent custard-like meat, blew off a stray pine and ate it. Slowly, satisfied. Eyes half closed, like he just tasted heaven. Rumors swirled. Of course, folks say, he would showed up in Samjiang with an old woman, his mother maybe, or a foster aunt, who held his hand, and they sat under a big stage listening to Jingqing storytelling. Midway throughout the tale, when the hero was dangling off a cliff, the old woman whispered, "Wait here. When the crowd cheers, I'll come back." She never did. Not that day. Not ever. Even the melon seed auntie sweeping sawdust between rows got fed up and came to shoo him off. Shoo! Go home! But no home came for him. So he stayed. Slept curled beneath stage's beams, woke when drums rolled, and waited not for her, not for the answers, but just to be where the noises was. Some folks felt bad, saw the way his lips were chapped, how he'd blinked too long at sudden light, how he never flinched when kids threw pebbles, just watched them bounce. But Da Chong never frowned, never cried, just kept chewing. Durians, sugarcane, roasting chestnuts. Like every bite was the first bite of the world. And every time he cracked one open, the crowd roared, then drifted off, leaving him alone again, licking juice from his knuckles under the same old stage in the same old town, breathing the same old river air. We are now transitioning to Hidden Peacock. The opening is a sharp medicinal burst, but the herbs are taming down quite fast. It has some spicy, peppery qualities about it. Also, clearly floral aspects that are very creamy and powdery. And the florals get more pronounced like every minute, like they are blooming even more every minute you wear this and smell this fragrance. I personally can pick up the carnation and the rose, but not so much the rest of the show. Very, very nice blend between this herbal bitterness and this voluptuous flowers. Really, really cool perfume. And in the dry down, it gets more and more woody, but never loses the floral aspect. The young master of Qian's money chest didn't speak much. Not out of sulliness, not arrogant, just quiet. Like a stone dropped in deep water. No splash, no ripple, just slow sinking. And yet, the loudest place of Xianjiang, not the docks, not the opera stage, not even the fish market at dawn. It was Qiang's, Mr. Qiang himself. Old, sharp-eyed, with ears that could caught whispers 3 alleys over. Was a force of nature. His mouth never stopped moving, 1 minute spinning wild stories like the loom weaving silk from thin air, the next dropping a single word, No, and cutting off whole futures like a guillotine blade. People left his presence dizzy, dazzled, and utterly deflated. He didn't run a business, he ran a weather system. He had Jiahu late in life, his only son, and named him Jiahu, hoping he would grow up with skies in the chest and wind in his lungs. Instead, the boy inherited silence. Not the calm kind, the heavy, breathless kind. The kind where your ribs feel tight before you even draw air. Town gossips called him the mute heir. But it wasn't muteness. It was air hunger. A body built for shouting, but wired to hold his breath. As he got older, Huangju wandered not aimless, but with quiet purpose. He'd stand for hours at the dye house, watching indigo foam rises and fall in the vast of the slow blue breath. Or sit at the riverbank, watching dock workers scrub salt and sweat from their backs under the grey light. Back home, he'd sink into a chair by the window, gaze fixed somewhere beyond the wall, still soft, almost translucent. Mr. Qiang fretted. Idle hands make idle minds, and idle minds make trouble. So he gave Huangzhou the garden. Not just any garden. A riot of exotics, Indian lilacs with purple spires, Arabian night-blooming jasmine that smelled like honeyed ghost, European daffodils nodding in the breeze, French yellow orchids trembling like capturing sunlight, seeds smuggled by sailors, bartered by peddlers, tossed into soil like wishes. They bloomed fast, fierce, fragrant, too beautiful, almost rude. Late spring in Xiangjiang meets rain. Not gentle drizzle, but bucket rain. Thick, warm, relentless. At night, it drummed on the roof, pitter-pat, light and quick inside, while outside it fell in slow, heavy thuds, like footsteps circling the house, again and again. Creepy at first, then familiar, then just background noise. One morning, the maids found him in the garden, laying on his back, eyes open, mouth full of crushed petals. Lilac, jasmine, daffodil, orchid, chewed fine mixed with dew and some darker. No struggle, no note, just stillness. 6 months later, clearing out his room, they found a folded slip of rice paper tucked inside a dried up daffodil bulb. In neat, careful ink, flowers watered by rain, stay flowers I watered by the sky, I'm no longer me. Signed not Hueju, but Jade, written in reverse, like a mirror image. Untouchable Butterfly has this soft, powdery floral with a little bit of a hint of citrus that feels like more like a neroli, more a floral citrus, if you understand what I mean. It feels very, very warm and welcoming. It's kind of clean, and it feels, yeah, that sounds cheesy, I know, but it feels like the smile of a beautiful woman. It's very clean, it's put together, it's just absolutely beautiful. The floral with the slightly greenish, aromatic, citrusy floral vibe together with this kind of musky skin scent. Yeah, just amazing, really. It feels so delicate and soft. Yeah, beautiful. We are now 40 minutes in. This will be the longest video I ever shooted. And that in English. Yeah, well, nobody ever said this is going to be easy. So we are here for the challenge. Untouched Butterfly. Miss Jiang wasn't just a performer. She was the performer. In Xiangjiang, they said seeing her sing was like paying tribute to the moon. You didn't bargain, you bow. One ticket worth more than your grandfather's silver teapot. A single glance from her at the big stage could melt man's pride and his wallet into puddles. Everyone who passed through town stopped for Peony Pavilion. Not for the plot, not for the music, for her. When she sang Willow Branches Invite Joy, young scholars forgot their exams and signed like love-lorn poets. When she played Plum Spirit Ghostly Return, even rival troop leaders dropped their fans and whispered, "That's not acting, that's possession." People didn't just want to watch her, they wanted one moment, a shared breath, a lifted eyebrow, a glance that felt like it pierced straight through their ribs. No connection, no cash, no chance. You'd beg, borrow, or sell your boots and still get turned away at the curtain rope. But butterflies don't choose the flower. The flowers don't choose the wind. She was beautiful, yes, but beauty in Sanjiang was a currency, not shelter. So folks pinched, gossiped, watched her closely, not with awe, but with the hungry eyes of collectors inspecting porcelain. How thin is the glaze? How easy does it chip? Eventually, even her face powder started to feel sticky, heavy, like something bored or overdue. No matter how radiant she shone, she shouldn't outrun the truth. All glamour washes off. All mask needs rinsing. Then silence, no warning, no farewell tour, just no Miss Chuang on stage. Rumors flew. She angered someone untouchable, someone whose name wasn't spoken aloud, only nodded at sideways. Soon after, the illness came, not fever or cough, but something stranger. Her skin went translucent, like rice paper soaked in tea. Light burned her, wings stung, touch unthinkable. In sunlight, she cast no shadow, just a faint shimmering halo, where her veins pulsed, glowing like crushed amethyst on the glass. She stopped crying, not because she had no sorrow, but because her tear would salt burn her cheeks and leaving trails like knife cuts. Word got out. Fast, suddenly, everyone needed to see. Not mourn, not pray, see. They swarmed her courtyard, climbing the old pepper tree, peering through cracked shutters, balancing on roof tiles, pressing faces into keyholes. Not one of them combed their hair today. Not one wore clean collars. Just a writhing mass of elbows, chins, and white greedy eyes, shaking bark dust from the tree like shaken pepper, shouting, laughing, shoving. It went for days, like a festival nobody invented. One afternoon, a boy tucked his grandfather's sleeve beneath the tree. Grandpa, why won't the pepper flower open? The man didn't look up, just sighed, voice slow as smoke. Because you keep staring at her instead of the sky. She died soon after, on a quiet, sun-dampened afternoon. People crowd in, not in revenge, but with that hushed, thick kind of curiosity reserved for miracle and accidents. The light slanted in gold across her bed. No shadow fell on her quilt. No outline on the floor. Just a soft, shifting iridescence, pearl gray, rose tingled, faint as breath on glass, hovering where she lay. Now we're coming to the special edition of these fragrances. They are more like a olfactory memory library for the perfumer, where he showcases his travels and specific moments in time for his life. Also, there are some of the fragrances are telling the stories from the first seasons. So here we go. We're starting right in it with Nap on the Tree. I need to grab it. Yeah, there it is. Nap on the Tree is very, very citrus heavy in the opening without having this cleaner association. It's backed up by a peppery incense, and the florals are shining through, especially violet again. In his creation, he likes to use violet, it seems. It's very, very lightweight. It almost feels like if you're laying underneath a tree in sunlight and these shadows are dancing around your face. It's very relaxed, calming, easy to wear, just a very nice summer scent. Amazing. And now, a day after, it still has this slight violet floral aspect, but still has this kind of fresh, citrusy, woody vibe. So really cool. But it gets very, very light over time. So maybe you will go nose blind for this. It feels like in the dry down, it's more like a silk scarf version of the fragrance that you sprayed on before. But it's absolutely beautiful. The story behind this fragrance is it should be the story of the first perfume in this video, Sleeve Cutter, and the tree where the character is buried beneath. After years, people still come there and sit in their anger and just let go of that anger to start fresh. Absolutely beautiful. Also, with creating this video, I wanted to showcase how different cultures experience different scents and connect them to memory. And I wanted to experiment in how much me as a white person growing up in Germany can relate to memories and stories from China, and if they are universal or if some of them are so special and pronounced that me as a white European doesn't get any connection to that. So yeah, that's the experiment you're up for. Lord of Tree is the next scent here. In the opening, it's extremely bitter. It's bitter woods, it's dark woods, but yeah, kind of medicinal. Very, very pronounced on this almost dark, imposing tree there. It has almost a little bit of a cold feeling because it's so bitter. It feels like you're standing in the shadow of a gigantic tree. There are florals, there are citruses, but they are very, very subtle, and the whole woody thing is just the main focus point. It feels a little bit like a photography of a big tree, where only if you really look closely you can see, well, this tree has an environment where it stands, and but the main focus is this tree. In the dry down, it gets more convenient and wearable. The first hour or so is really, really bitter and challenging for a woody scent. I would never ever thought of that this kind of scent can be that much of a struggle. The copy on the website says, this fragrance is inspired by Tree King by Art Chang's novel Three Kings. This work employs a variety of raw materials from China to present two aspects of the Tree King. One of the towering ancient tree that has grown for 100 years, with its ancient bark exuding a fermented resinous fragrance. The other, the simple mountain keeper, with his large, thick hands bearing old scars, his delicate knife and axe handling skills, and this straightforward and fiery pure temperament. And yeah, I get that. The next fragrance is Penang Stroll, and it's just an amazing concoction between lemongrass and almost creamy nutmeg. It's very citrusy, it's very aromatic, and still spicy. It's so easy to like. There's, I would say, tons of cardamom here as well. Just plain beautiful. Easy to like, easy to wear. I love nutmeg, so that one is one of the fragrances I blind bought just because of my love for nutmeg. And I didn't go wrong here because this is so easy to like, so easy to wear. It's a great summer scent, but it can easily be worn all year round. It has this freshness, but the spiciness of the nutmeg, perfect. Just really perfect. I feel like after testing now all the other fragrances that I wouldn't, it wasn't be able to put a wrong fragrance that I wouldn't like. So lucky me here, but this one is really, really good and so easy and yeah, just perfect. The longevity is also really impressive for such a fresh scent. It clings to your skin, but it never gets overwhelming or boring or something like that, which I really enjoy because I hate when fragrances stick to your skin and just smell like these cheap amberwoods. And this is not the case here. We're almost on the finishing line. We're now entering Grey Flowers. This scent is very particular. It smells like an overgrown stone or something like that. You smell the coldness, the bitterness, and the greenery, but the greenery is blooming. So there are aspects of it that are floral. There are aspects of it that are very, very mineralic and yeah, almost cold, plus this green aspect. I think it's very easy to wear and easy to like, especially for the summer with this mineralic kick to it. Yeah, just overall a great fragrance. has almost a little bit of a aquatic mineralic edge to it. It's really, really nice. It feels like you're in the picture that comes to my mind when smelling this. It feels like you are on a sunny autumn day in the woods. You're on the edge of a clearing where you see these stones in the sunlight, where it feels like the rain from the past days is still in the air. So you have this little bit of petrichor smell, and these stones are gleaming and steaming in the heat of the sun. But overall, it's a beautiful day. You just smell the rain of the past days. And yeah, it's kind of refreshing, it's comforting, it's grounding. Really nice scent. The copy on the website says, "This is a work created during the traditional Chinese festival of Qingming Festival. It depicts what I witnessed and experienced when returning to my hometown in the country mountains to visit the graves. My ancestors had no names. Instead, some repetitive geometric symbols were used to represent their clan. Their graves were submerged by the river over 100 years ago and sank to the bottom of the lake. Now, after the lake water has receded, they are located beneath a small hill. There are small and rough white flowers growing there. Our custom is to clear the weeds, burn the colorful paper money, and repaint the red painted characters on the tombstones. I have brought back all the memories since." Yeah. Now there are 3 fragrances left. 2 of them are exclusive to Fortune Soul in China. They were created for last year's crossover from Paris Perfume Week to Notes Shanghai. The first one is called Echanté, which is way better dried down, by the way. At first, it's just like cacao, hot chocolate with almost a boozy fruitiness about it. It has this feeling of these jello bananas coated in chocolate. It now has settled down. There is still this cacao feeling to it, but it's not that overly sweet. It has more of a woodsy, tamed down version. This at all is nothing for me. I'm not into gourmands. I see why people might love this very, very much. I just could never wear that on my own because I'm not a chocolate person. It's beautiful. Maybe I would enjoy smelling this on another person, but certainly not myself. Yeah, it has a kind of a booziness with it, but the main player is still the chocolate and cacao. Yeah, not bad though, if you like chocolate. And the fragrance before the last fragrance, which is totally special because it uses yak excrement in it, which is totally right, but we will get to that later. Macau Egg Tart. This is a reminder for him and a good memory because he lives in Macau, and Macau is somehow famous for its egg tarts, which are the imported Portuguese pâté de nata. And for me, it just smells like the baked German cheesecake. For me, it just smells like melted butter and this batter of eggs, sugar, a little bit of flour, and some dairy product. It smells like a bakery. So it's still very gourmand. Not for me. At least it's not chocolate. So therefore, it's higher up in my ranking than Echanté. But still, this is not for me. I always thought that Sweet Yaourt from Roger would smell like that. It smells a little bit like croissant and stuff like that. If you like gourmands, if you like this pastry smell, you would absolutely love this one. But yeah, just not for me. And now the star of the show, because this fragrance got me into this brand at all, because I heard he's using tincture or absolute of yak excrement. And that sounded so weird that I loved it. I love a little bit of an animalic twist. I love animalic products in perfume. Yeah, sorry, I know. And I was very, very curious how yak excrement would smell like. Therefore, this whole excitement about this one just led me to dive deeper into the brand. But it smells not poopy at all. If you are expecting something like Heratium or even Civet or stuff like that, I must disappoint you because it does not smell like that at all. It smells like a wild herbal hay. For me, the whole scent, and it starts off a little bit medicinal, but after that, it feels like you're laying in this herbal hay of some sort and are just drinking the best ever made herbal green tea. It's very relaxing. It's so comforting. It has this little bit of earthy and that kind of dirty feel to it, but not in any fecal or other manner. It's just a little bit earthy. It's very herbal and grounding, and it has a little bit of a bitter edge to it. It's just absolutely mind-blowing and amazing. This one is the most expensive one out of the whole collection. This one is 300 USD and the rest is 140 till 160 or something like that. So the price jump is enormous. But I learned while researching for this video that the Tibetans use this yak poo to either fuel their heating or to in building their houses to isolate it against the cold and the heat in the summer. So therefore, it is kind of a holy and very, very precious material in this culture. And yeah, it's not a gimmick. It really is something truly special that is truly unique and could not have been done by anybody from the West with at least half of the impact and the feel to it. So I'm very, very glad I tried these fragrances. There is almost no letdown here besides the two gourmands. I'm not really that into gourmands, so therefore, other than that, truly impressed by the artistry of Big Buddha here. Very happy to have smelled them now. They are kind of already jumped into my top 5 brands of all time. I'm really happy to had this chance now to smell them, and I cannot wait for them to be available in Europe because you guys, you need to try them really, because you will be missing out so much. They are already available at Style New York. So if you're in the US, you're lucky, you already can get them quite easily. I hope you enjoyed this video and this concept, and you forgive me and my German followers forgive me for switching to English. Yeah, I'm sure you can understand my English. I'm hopeful at least. So yeah, if you like this video, I would highly appreciate some form of engagement. And yeah, if you think my English is sounding horrible, also leave that in the comment. It's engagement. I don't care really. Other than that, we will see each other next week. I post always on Thursdays, German time, somewhere around afternoon. It was lovely chatting to you about this great brand, and we will see each other the next time. See you then. Bye.